Welcome, world, to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. I am Reverend Sandy Rogers, and as the creator of this historic event, it is my pleasure to welcome you. We come together to bring you this historic event. We have practitioners, holistic practitioners. We have medical doctors. We have spiritual individuals. This event is so lovingly dedicated to my mother, Mrs. Barbara Dean Brown. And my mother taught me like 40 plus years ago about the importance and the meaning behind herbs. And she would always say, we don't know what they putting in those pills, so you better not, get hooked on prescription drugs. And so we listened to Mom, but not all of us paid attention. My sister, bless her heart, was diagnosed recently thereafter with asthma, and she was prescribed prednisone, which is a very powerful steroid. And my sister actually got hooked on steroids, like someone out on the street kind of hooked, like on heroin or crack or something like that. And so my mom and my sister are both on the other side, living in the other dimension, but they're upholding me, and this is dedicated to their memory. So we don't want to come and make you change your mind about what you're doing. We just want to provide information to you, something different, so that you have options to choose from, so that you're not stuck. Because the environment that we now live in, the fast foods, the toxins in the air that we breathe and in the water that we drink, and the processed foods, and all of that is causing havoc on this precious body temple. So God created our bodies to heal themselves, but they can only heal themselves when they're fed and they're nourished and they're stress-free. And so the 60 or so or more experts that we have are bringing you this worldwide wellness movement in an attempt to share their testimonies and their information with you. So we have from age 14 on up. I don't even know what the oldest age is. I think 88 or something. So you see, that's a wide range of knowledge that we're bringing you. And so we hope that you come and that you get all the knowledge that you need to affect a positive change on your life, and share this with others. It's free, it's online, and so we're just so thankful that you decided to be a part of our listening community, the viewing community, and we certainly appreciate you for giving us your time of day and your energy and your efforts to being with us and to being a part of this historic event. We have pulled together people of color for you, by you, right? So we want to make sure that you understand that we too, melanated people with color, can enjoy, practice, and participate in some of these modalities that others have been doing for centuries, and that is pretty new to our community. So we talk about Qigong, we talk about meditation, yoga, spiritual work from a different perspective than religion. So we talk about the spirituality aspect. We talk about abuse in the families. We talk about all kinds of subjects because we know that in our communities there are layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff that we never talk about that's causing a negative effect on our bodies and its healing process. So we address it, whatever it is, and we hope that you will benefit from the many experts that we have, and that you walk away with lots of knowledge and lots of new information, and that you become fully empowered to share information with others. So thank you for being with us. We love you and we bless you, and we look forward to doing this again. But thanks for being here with the first one. We appreciate you.
Love and wellness. Life, love, and wellness.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. My name is Tammy Kinney, and I live in Winder. I live in Winder, Georgia, and Winder is considered the rural area. I've been an advocate for women's rights, people who are living or diagnosed with HIV. Um, the main thing that I really want to say about myself is it's a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King that says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And when I take a look at my life in my community, I know there has to be a change.
And when you speak of your community in rural Georgia, can you help the listeners to understand? So, like, what's the biggest difference between the city and the rural area?
Having access to a lot of different things, such as transportation to medical care, HIV awareness, mental health services, um, even when you have to go to places like going to the Social Security office, just meeting the daily basic needs that are important to live a happy and productive life. A lot of times I know as a woman, I listen to the other stories of other women that are living in the rural, and a lot of times they feel like they're handicapped because they can't get to certain places that they may learn some things that they could bring back to the community. And I do know HIV is one of the things that I am an activist and an advocate about. In the rural area is lack of testing sites. And then a lot of time when you go to the health department, you may have to pay. Those are some issues that concerns me. And then I look at domestic violence, unhealthy relationships, transportation issues, healthcare issues. All these things tie in together that affects people that are living in the rural area.
So, as you discover new areas that are not addressed here in the rural area, how do you respond to those needs?
A lot of times I become angry. A lot of times within myself, I wonder, am I doing enough for my community? But I also take what's going on in my community or other rural communities to open forums in the metropolitan areas, because the rural do exist, and I don't want to feel like we're left behind. You know, they talk about the metropolitan areas, they talk about the things that go on, and they say the southern states. But I would like to see southern rural states or southern rural communities. And that's the part. About 5 years ago, a lady came to me and said, "Tammy, you do a lot for all the other organizations, and you live here next to 10 rural counties. Why don't you do something in the community that you live in?" And I actually said, "What?" So I really wasn't thinking very well, because I do this type of work, but I do it with other organizations. So I talked to some ladies, I prayed about it, and I came up with the name Rural Women in Action.
You guys are dynamic.
Thank you.
What are some of the areas that your organization address?
We address stigma. We address HIV and AIDS. We address domestic violence. We do testing. We collaborate with other organizations and do testing. We talk about going back into the work field. We address all the needs that are beneficiary to people that are living in the rural area. We also talk about Alzheimer's in the Black community. We talk about breast cancer, ovarian cancer, things that are not discussed in our communities. And when I say our communities, I'm talking about the African American community, the Black community. And mental health is what we really need to talk about. It's another component, because a lot of times what we don't do in our culture is get to the root cause of really what's going on with us so we can be free.
That's a powerful statement. So if there are issues, mental health, emotional wellness,
Yes.
if those are some underlying areas that need to be addressed, how do you go about in a small community like this? How do you go about waking people up to really have that discussion? Do you bring in, people from other areas, or?
I do, but everything that I do, I pray about it first. Because I could put something together on my own and it just be something I don't put together. But I like to give it some substance. So the people that I know, I talk to them about it. I talk to my community first. And if I have to bring in outside speakers, it's okay. It's okay. Because the same message that I carry, they also carry. And I don't know everything. So I bring in leaders from other communities to share their stories and their experience and their ideas, innovative ideas, and I want to say that. And then I start forming these conferences and workshops, and it's been working in my community and in other small surrounding communities.
But you're not just working in your community. You're like in metropolitan Atlanta, in Fulton County. You're in Gwinnett County. You have another organization, Sassy 60s.
Yes.
You have this organization. And so you're doing like all of these events that are concerned with women and women's rights.
Yes.
I know you also participated in the National Education Association and their conferences that they hold. So you make sure that you're well-rounded and you're well-grounded with the things that you're learning. And so when you come back to your community, are you providing that information like in a newsletter or at church, or how do you get that information back to your community?
Social media. My granddaughter gave me the tips and everything about how to do the Facebook and the social media, so I'm getting kind of good with that. Social media is one of the greatest tools when it comes to awareness and sharing information. So I do have a Facebook page that's Rural Women in Action. My church and communities. I make flyers, I post flyers, and other people share what I do as well. So that's one of the forms, the different forms of how I get the information out to other people, especially those who are on Facebook. Now, if it's someone that's not on Facebook, the flyers, and then a lot of people come to me and say, Tammy, what is Rural Women? What are they going to do next year? Or do you think you can put this together? And it works and it just fits right in. It's been a diverse type of leadership from different areas, from Atlanta. This year we had some awesome speakers. Wow. Of course, you came back, Sandy, and then we had some people from Franklin County that had a whole different type of story, but it impacted the conference so greatly. It was greatly needed. Yeah.
And so what are some of the subjects? I really appreciated your target audience for this year, which were boys, young men, and grown men. So it was under construction.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I wasn't sure what the title of the conference was going to be. We always use the title, Transformation plus Information equals Empowerment, right? So, transforming minds. But this year, I formed a team. Well, actually, it's the same team every year. They're so powerful. And as you know, Sandy, with your help and your being so diligently involved, we came up with the title Under Construction. And that means that when you look at a construction site, they're putting things together. If they're not putting it together, they're breaking it down. And a lot of our young men today, they call them the millennium, the X generation, the unknown. They're broken. Okay? It may not look like it on the outer surface, but they're broken. Because if their parents are broken, then the children are broken. So let's not get the idea that it's all about the children. We have to bring the parents in. So this year's conference, we just broke down and got to the root of what's really going on. And it's not only the young boys and the young men. And like I said, it's in the home. So we address issues of loneliness, drug use, drug dealing, wanting to be the kingpin. And half of them really didn't know what kingpin, they didn't know what that really meant. They just heard it on TV, looked at a movie, or somebody else in the community used the word. We even talked about the pants hanging down. But then we also talked about, what is your purpose? Everybody has a purpose. And the job that you did, Sandy, with those kids, to me, I mean, they do so much more than the other groups because they're young and they see their vision. So this was also vision focused. And I like what you did about one of the two individuals you had in the group. They built a house. And you know, back in the day when we had a candy lady in the community, I love what your students did. They built a house and the lady was selling dumplings. So bringing those ideas and keeping young minds fresh is really major. Yeah. Well, my son spoke first, him and a cousin of ours. So I could relate to his issues and his feelings as a parent. Because I myself was broken. So if I was broken, my children were broken. So when they first opened up the conference, and my cousin, the young lady that spoke, they spoke together, she was also broken. So in my mind, I said I wanted to give the people something that they can think about. Not 1 day, 2 days, but I want them to really reflect back on what happened today. So my son spoke about, it was called the symbolic apology. And the cousin talked about, she was doing the apology, and my son was talking about the apology coming on a spiritual level. And it was just so awesome. That brought tears to my eyes because I actually never seen my son perform. This is the second time that I've seen him perform doing spoken words. So that was awesome. And our guest speaker, our featured speaker, you know, I believe it's so much race issues in the world today, but everybody's dealing with the same thing. So I just really still today, I understand how separation comes, but we just can't even be separated. So the featured speaker just really laid his life out for us. And it showed how you can actually turn your life around even in the midst of doing something wrong and you thinking about doing something right. And I know everybody has been there before. You're doing something wrong, but you're thinking about something that should be right. So that's what that particular featured speaker, he brought to life. So it was a really awesome day. Yes. I do have a team, and you're part of that team, because I have learned over the years, it is nothing wrong with taking suggestions and looking at it for what it is really worth, because we can't do this stuff by ourselves. And I keep in mind my spiritual nature has a lot to do with me making right choices. Walk in your authentic self. And that have stayed with me before Rural Women in Action has ever started. And because I remember wearing the mask, wanting to be somebody that I wasn't, all that other stuff. So I take suggestions. I listen to other people's thought. I pray about it. And I use what is important, not only to me, but to them, and mostly for the community, because that's what matters. You know, I hear the phrase, one person can make a difference. And I'm good with that. But a whole lot of people coming together for the same cause, to help somebody else and not be selfish about it when it's a need, is a powerful thing. Because if I need you because it's something in the area that I'm not familiar with that needs to be addressed, and vice versa. So coming together as a community, whether you're in the metropolitan area or the big city with all of these lights, we have a common thread. We have a connection, and the connection is that we are human beings that know what it feels like, whether it's being lonely, having an addiction, being in an unhealthy relationship. And we are in unhealthy relationships with ourselves, especially when we don't know who we are. So what I want to be able to leave in this interview, but to be connected with somebody that moving forward, that loves life, loves people, and want to see people be successful. So if we can do that collectively, then we can sleep good at night.